It's time for RPM Club, the weekly radio show that celebrates the love of cars as we break down the business and pleasure of all things automotive. If you're passionate about cars, you'll love RPM Club.
Welcome to the RPM Club. I'm Rob.
Rick here.
And we're happy to welcome you back to the show.
Episode 4.
Episode 4, I can't believe it. It happened so fast. So much to talk about, so little time.
And always confident.
Always confident, often wrong. That's the motto we live by.
Yes.
Fact checkers, beware. Anyway, we like to start every show with just a quick recap of the news of the week because, as you may or may not know, the purpose of our show is to talk about all things automotive. Cars we love, drivers we love, stories about the business. So it's always good to stay current. And I know, Rick, you always appreciate me watching the news every day and reporting back what's going on.
And I know how much in the first section you appreciate the interruption. So I wanted to make sure I get that tagged in this first section now.
Good.
And the one interruption I have to start with, the first interruption, not the only one, is I have to say you shared some very disturbing car stories with me when we were downstairs about some of the things that young men do when they're first learning how to drive. Things that we shouldn't or will never talk about, but we will surround and conceptualize with driver coaches about smarter ways to do things.
Well,
please.
The way I was doing things was not the smart way. We'll start with that. But
I'm very disturbed by this.
There's another show there, maybe a podcast, maybe not a broadcast.
It's going to need some time.
Yeah, it's not. It might be a little soon. It's only been 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, we love to talk about cars. I was thinking today, I hesitate to even say it because it kind of makes me feel, I guess, my age. Between the two of us, is there a century of car experience?
There is.
I mean, as dealers,
Yes.
not just liking cars, but as dealers.
Yeah.
That's a ton.
It's a lot.
We've seen a lot. So we have a plethora of content and stories to talk about.
Some accurate.
Well, always confident, often wrong.
And usually opinionated.
Always opinionated.
That's a good one.
So a couple of news items this week. I always like to look through the last week's worth of news, and I noticed just as we were pulling up to the studio, Chrysler issued a recall for 1,300,000 vehicles.
What? For what?
For seatbelt issues.
And what's the problem?
Well, they're not anchored properly. That's a pretty significant issue.
I wonder if they've even had an incident from it or suspecting it could be a potential incident.
Well, they certainly play it safe. And we always tell people,
Yes.
if you get a recall notice, run to the dealer and get that thing taken care of.
Yes.
It's very important. Another thing I noticed that I was very surprised by, I watch the used car market and I watch what's starting to pick up the highest percentage in value. Older minivans. Imagine that. Older minivans are becoming increasingly popular amongst younger couples as kind of a first family vehicle. They're affordable. They've never seen one before. At least they've never thought of driving one. So the used ones are becoming kind of hard to get.
Interesting brush with the used car market because that market's under so much scrutiny right now, but all you hear about is the very top end. Everyone wonders where it's going, what all these collector cars are trading for. No one has a handle on the future. No one can understand what's going on. No one's ever seen anything like what's going on. And I'm starting to get a glimpse of it. And what I learned and thought about over the last week is it isn't one market of used cars. It's about a 7, 8, or 9 tiered market
Very
of
segmented.
used cars. It's extremely segmented. In every segment, something little different is going on.
Right.
The one we hear about on the news all the time is the limited production collector car that's never been driven in 30 years with 40 miles on it and documentation and certified by the factory, and the whole world's trying, and that prices go right out of the top. But that's such a small micro percentage of it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because when we talk about cars on this show, I want the listeners to know that we want to talk about a broad spectrum of things.
Yes.
I mean, we may, as many people do, automatically relate to the one-off, super expensive, 5 maybe built in the world cars, not just one-offs. And when we talk about racing or we talk to the coach who's coming up shortly about driving, our gravity pulls us into the racing part of it. And we want to present material that anyone listening can find some value in. And so when we talk about used car values and affordability, that's a good comment to make because there's a lot of aspects to it. On that subject of sales, I noticed last quarter Corvette sales were up 20% year over year.
That's
Now,
a big deal.
It's a big deal. And I'm not sure because I haven't looked deeply enough yet if that's an incentive that Chevrolet has. I
heard there were some incentives. I don't know the details, but I heard there were.
I mean, that's one of the best values in the world to start with.
Yes,
and if you come up with some kind of incentive on a car like that, it doesn't surprise me there's a 20% bump. And then the last thing, and we can move on because we've got a bunch of exciting guests here today. I was also reading about, and we had talked about import cars before, the Chinese cars, which we have a moat around our country right now for good reason because they're priced
For now.
at two-thirds of what our cars are priced at. That moat may fall at some point. The bridges might get built. So we have to be aware of that. They're sneaking in through Canada. They're sneaking in through Mexico. So when that happens, that's going to be a day of reckoning for the manufacturers here. But before we go any further, I'm always happy to announce our first guest, who's a regular on the show. TK, he's our driving coach. Tony Kester. He's driven everywhere and everything. He knows everything about driving. And today we asked him to talk a little bit about things you can do driving legally and have lots of fun doing, or any other comments he might have. So TK, if you're there, let's go.
But if I could interrupt both of you guys again, I get two for the price of one. Whenever we have TK, it's like talking to the sensei. I feel like we should light some incense here. We should have some soft music on because what he said, I think, 1 or 2 shows ago was if you're driving in any lane and you look over to the right and there's no one there, that's where you should be.
I love that, Tony. That is great.
I mean, that just chiseled itself into my mind. And I feel like he should be wearing long robes and candles.
He might be.
Well, maybe
This is radio, remember.
You know, and he's in Indiana, so you never know what they're doing.
TK, go.
Well, I'm definitely confident.
Yeah, welcome.
And I have an opinion.
I've noticed.
So, how can you have fun with let's say you got a slow car, what people perceive as a slow car. Why can't you have fun driving it within the law? And the nice thing is, when you drive a slow car fast, you're probably still not breaking the speed limit.
Yeah.
So, first thing to think about is, let's say you come out of church on Sunday morning and you're going to go out and drive on your favorite country road where there's no traffic in the morning on Sunday. First thing you want to think of is that you want to make the turns as big as you can, because the bigger the turn, the faster you can go. You think about baseball. When you hit a double, you don't run straight at first base and make a left-hand turn, go to second. You kind of swing out, tag first, swing out, go to second. You're making that turn as big as you can. So lanes are 10 to 12 feet wide. Your car is less than 6 feet wide. So you can take advantage of that width difference. Let's say it's a right-hand turn. Come up to the right-hand turn, you want to line up on the left side to get the most out of that width. Number one thing you have to do is you have to slow down.
That's true.
Not what people want to hear.
Big point.
If you're 10 miles an hour too slow, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you're 1 mile an hour too fast, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Okay, so slow it down. Hey, if you're driving and use your brakes, not at the maximum. 30%, you don't want to wear them up. It's just a matter of getting the car slowed down to the proper speed for the corner.
So you don't want to hold your breath and then slam both feet on the brake pedal and screaming at the same time to slow down.
No, that would be on a racetrack, and we're not on a racetrack.
Okay.
We're trying to have fun. We don't want to upset. Maybe the priest came out of church with you, and he's going for a ride. You don't want to upset him. So anyway,
it's a stretch.
if you're driving a stick, downshift, and make sure you let the clutch out before you turn in. Because if you let the clutch out after you turn in, you might upset the car.
Well, you know what you're saying, and you're touching on. It's one of the things they always talk about in racing, and I learned from you. Everybody wants to be fast, and here are the steps to get there. First of all, you have to know how to go slow.
Yes.
And going slow will introduce you to the second step, which is getting smooth. Once you get smooth, you're at the doorway to fast. You can't skip a step.
Right.
Cannot do it. So slow is really important.
Those are all the lessons I missed.
Yeah. Obviously, those stories, Tony, I'll share them with you later. Very disturbing.
Well, they might be very interesting, and I'm sure they're partially true.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so the next thing is you have to turn at the right spot. Well, what's that? Well, you do it all the time at intersections. You don't turn real early and end up on the other side of the street. You want to kind of look through the turn. And since we're not going fast, you got time to think about it. Look through the turn and make sure you turn late enough to where you're not going to run off the road on the exit. Number 3, which people don't want to hear, stay off the gas, which speaks to what you said, Rick. It's like if you're shooting a gun. You don't pull the trigger on the gun until it's pointed at your target. Well, as soon as you get on on the gas, it's going to be like a motorcycle. When you get on the gas with a motorcycle, you might do a wheelie. It's not going to turn very good with the wheel up in the air. So you got to wait to get on the gas till it's pointed to where you want to go.
TK, we love that, and we want to hear more from you. We look forward to you every week. Thanks for being a guest today. You're listening to the really RPM Club.
Really good.
Celebrating the love of cars and the joy of driving. You're listening to the RPM Club with Rick and Rob Mancuso.
Welcome back. You're listening to the RPM Club, 312-772-6834. 312-772-6834, our 24/7 call and text line. You can listen to us also on rpmclub.com. Rick, I'm going to turn it over to you. We have a tremendous guest that has agreed to spend some more time with us. People loved it, and they want to hear more from him. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, there's so many questions. Cort Wagner, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic out here on West Beverly Hills, to be specific.
It sounds like you were breaking up a little bit there. Doing something unusual? Are you on a treadmill or walking on a tightrope from building to building? Or
I wish that was the case. I'm just staring at Wilshire and Bedford Drive in Beverly Hills right now out my window and get a great vision of all the car guys. And, this week and next week you're going to see a lot of the supercar traffic parking here before they rally up to the Monterey Car Week.
Well, I was just going to ask you that. So you're in downtown Beverly Hills right now.
Yep.
And when you look out your window or you walk down the street, what's the most popular car that you see?
Well, it's SUV, okay, and this is I've had many conversations with all the manufacturers.
G-Wagons, Puro Sangue, what is it?
It's going to be a G63 on the upper high end. It's going to be I probably see literally 30 G63s a day, maybe 40. You're going to have your Range Rover, the full body Range Rovers. You're going to see a couple dozen of those. You're going to see half a dozen Lamborghini Urus, right? Those are common. In that set, mostly males driving that car, and you're going to see a lot of the Land Rover Range Rover group, and some Puro Sangue, not really, maybe a couple a week. We aren't seeing saturation of that car here. I may see 2 or 3 a week at best, but it's really the G63 crowd, and it's a Range Rover crowd.
Any dominant colors?
Colors, people are it's still funny. People are still pretty safe in those kind of cars. You get your blacks, your silvers, your whites, and grays, and those are that's 90% of your makeup on the product. And some guys, the Urus is different. The Lamborghini crowd, that's always been a great paint to sample type of product, right? Lamborghini has great paint shops and great colors, so you'll see those in oranges and yellows and the matte colors. A lot of matte colors. The G63s, the Magno they call it, the Magno colors are fabulous, and they do a great job with that. And you see a lot of matte colors out here on that.
So what did you drive to work today?
Right? I actually drove a Magno Bronze G63. I daily drive, and I love the product. And from 2025 onwards, Mercedes-Benz completely revamped the G-Wagon. Everybody thinks they're the same, and they're not.
I missed it.
Yeah.
I did the hardcore. I did the 55, the 63, and the 65 over the course of 10 or 15 years, and I just couldn't take the ride anymore.
I bet you wish you had that 65 still.
I guess. It was such a rough ride for me, though. It was just cool because it had the 12-cylinder engines.
That's a fabulous power plant.
Yes, it is.
I think they've now found I find the ultimate balance of comfort, and you're not really sacrificing ride anymore. They have a performance suspension package for about $4,500 option, which is the cheapest thing you could ever get for how much value it drives to the car. And it's a self-leveling, hydraulically cross pressurized hydraulic shock system, kind of like a McLaren, if you will. The car doesn't lean at all, and the ride quality is phenomenal. And they made about 300 other very small changes on that platform that make it quieter, less wind noise. There's a whole new hybrid powertrain, not plug-in, it self-charges. So there's a sandwich electric motor in the drivetrain and the transmission. So there's tons of torque fill on the bottom end before you get into the turbo boost. So it's a fabulous driving car now.
I've got one
just
that
great.
you would like. I bought a Stelvio Quadrifoglio 4 years ago.
Wow.
Black with black interior. And I lowered it.
Of course you did.
And you know what? Everyone thinks it's a Puro Sangue.
Yeah, I know.
What percentage
know.
of the cost
Well,
of
I'm,
the Pro
I'm
Sangue?
500,000 or 600,000 ahead in the
Yeah.
Alfa, and it's a wonderful drive. That's a brand that should be doing way better here, and just isn't.
Yeah, it's a marketing miss. I think Maserati and Alfa Romeo have definitely not put full effort in the United States. I don't know why they're always half in. You know, it's very interesting.
Can't do that
They built-
here.
No.
Get in or get out.
Get in or get out. And the Alfa Romeo product was fabulous. I mean, the
It
four-door
is.
sedan they had.
Yes.
the
Oh, yeah, it's a great
Quadrifoglio
sedan.
was amazing.
Yeah.
And your car with the V6, basically a Ferrari-derived
It
V6
is.
twin turbo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great product and great value. You
Two
know?
things I've got to get your impression on. What? First of all, you touched on it last week about the Malibu Canyon drives, and you do that almost every week. I know we're talking to the king of Mulholland Drive, so.
Yeah, for a long time. Too long, actually.
The old guy is fast.
Yeah, the old guys. But, you know, the canyons here really are our church, Sunday morning church, I call it. You know, a good espresso up Malibu and PCH, I do a
What
social
time
card
does it
coffee.
start?
You know, people are out at 6 in the morning and they're out at 11 a.m. or they're out at night.
How many cars?
You know, on the weekend, probably 1,000 cars between all the canyons from every direction, right? You got the valley feeds into Malibu Hills, Malibu feeds into
cars.
Malibu Hills. So, you know, you have a lot of people driving around. And by the way, it's never crowded. I mean, you don't ever come up on traffic and find 25 cars piled up typically. That's not really it. It's just a matter of enjoying so many different canyons. There's so many venues to go drive and have a great time.
And you're obeying all the speed limits, I'm sure.
Never cross the mustard, sir. Never.
Okay, all right.
Why do I think they're all Porsches?
Most are, you know, but there's also, as we know, the fanboy, if you will, or young Edgar crew of BMWs and Mustangs are always out there as well.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that typically making the most noise. I love their enthusiasm and I love the passion starting young. But there's definitely a correlation between age and respect of the road, unfortunately. And, you know, those guys are out there hot rodding their cars and having a good time, just Rick, like you were, like I was, right, doing what we did. It's unfortunately now, you know, you and I did it, Rick, when there wasn't cameras on every 5 feet of the road, you know.
Yeah.
So everything's 5 million views of every hooligan drifting or going over the edge in a car or crashing, and it becomes a bit of a situation. But, you know, no, everybody's out there.
Here's what's interesting. You're the real hardcore car guy, as is TK, Tony Kester.
Yeah.
Had a lot of experiences, and you guys with racing and AMG and Porsche and Ferrari and the tracks in Europe and here and everywhere. But you have another project going right now where you and your son are going to build an engine together. Listen to this program.
Great program.
This is unbelievably smart program.
It's a very smart program on the behalf of General Motors, right? So no manufacturer, I've been involved with all of them. Porsche for 20 years, and Ferrari, as you know, was a Tier 1 customer with them a long time ago. And
before, that was after everybody hated you, or before?
Yeah, I think during.
Yeah, probably still a fair amount that still hate you, right?
Yeah, of course. There's always, listen, if you don't have any bad press, you're not doing something right, is it?
I know,
right?
just having fun with
I mean, you know that. If anybody knows that, Rick, it's you. I mean, you taught me everything.
Oh.
You know, General Motors has really, you know, with this new Corvette ZR1 and ZR1X platform they've just launched with 1,000 and also 1,260 horsepower. I mean, they're shaking the world up here as far as performance numbers go. And they have a program where first you pay a fee with them and go in and actually build your motor head to toe, right? So they ask.
Isn't that amazing?
When you,
Great.
I think it's incredible. I think it's great. And you, by the way, you sign documents, your signature, and in this case, my son's signature as well. He's 13 years old. Both of our names and our signatures goes on the motor engine build plaque in the engine compartment.
You can never sell that engine.
What better way could you have an experience to bond with family or a friend and go build your ZR1X motor or Z06 motor or ZR1 motor and actually do it start to finish? I mean, you get the block, you put the crank in, you connect the connecting rods, you're dropping in valve train, you're attaching water pumps and accessories and turbos and intercoolers and intake manifolds. You're going through all of it.
What color?
Mine's going to be silver.
Oh, that's a great color. What color interior?
I did tan, Alcantara tan interior, silver tan.
That's neat.
I built kind of a toned-down build, if you will. You know, a little less.
You're getting older
maybe.
now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But what a great thing to do with your son. Imagine that.
I mean, what a great program they put together, and no other manufacturer's done this. I mean, in COVID, Mercedes-Benz stopped delivering European deliveries, and they never started again. Porsche still does it, but you certainly don't get to go see your motors being built and be a participant in the process, right? I mean, what better way to take a client and drive them into the brand?
It's fantastic. We love the story. We want to hear more from you, Cort. Can you stick around till after the break and come back for a few minutes?
Would love to.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're listening to the RPM Club. Visit us at rpmclub.com or 312-772-6834 24/7.
More tall stories to follow.
Now, more of the RPM Club. Here are your hosts, Rick and Rob Mancuso.
Welcome back to the RPM Club.
Pretty interesting story that Cort was sharing with us about this motor.
I was not aware there was a program like that.
I wasn't either until he brought it up the other day. I was pretty surprised to hear it. Cort, how long does it take? How long are you down there in Bowling Green?
Well, I'm going to do a tour of the factory on Friday, next week on Friday, and then Saturday they only allow 2 people. So luckily for her, the wife's not being dragged into this build process.
Yeah.
So it'll be my son and I. It's an 8-hour day. Actually, we get there at 5:30 in the morning to start the process. So.
Well, you know what? Maybe I should send my wife down there. She'd love to spend 8 hours in an engine assembly plant for a Corvette.
Every woman's dream.
Yeah, it's her dream.
So you're saying your Corvette ZR1X cost you $12 million? Yes, get there.
Oh, Shelley would love that.
Division of equity, sir. That's how it got there.
She's been waiting for this for a long time.
Exactly. I can't think of a better anniversary present.
Yeah.
No, I think, listen, I spent, 3 days with the whole team of GM and the Corvette team over at Sonoma Raceway and driving canyons and really flogging the ZR1X. And I was blown away how approachable and great these guys are and how passionate and enthusiastic these guys are. I mean, the top 6 guys that have run the Corvette division for the last 25 to 30 years, Greenwood guys, all the guys left over from that era.
Yes.
These guys
Including
live,
me.
breathe, and eat Corvette, right?
Yes.
They drive their ZR1X in the dead of winter in Detroit for testing on snow tires.
Yeah.
I mean, the stories are fast. They went over to Nürburgring, right? These guys, the engineers, the builders of this car, the mechanical, the design engineers and chassis engineers are the ones that did the lap time in that car, right? Amazing that these guys are so heavily vested into the program.
Look at John Heinrichs.
I know, right? Exactly.
Multiple
Again,
national
legacy.
championships, lap record at the Nürburgring in the Cadillac CTS V. Did it in an automatic transmission. Said he never took both hands off the steering wheel, or either hand off the steering wheel. Can't take both hands off. That would be
and the
challenging.
messaging that I really came across from on this was just really how, like somebody thinks about a CTS-V, like that was built as a track car. I'm like, guys, come on, are you serious about that? Like, really, you can track it? They're like, go ahead, take it to the track.
Yeah.
You could have a 2-day driver education weekend, no problem in that car.
Yeah.
We took the ZR1X on the track for 3 different days and flogged the beans out of these things, and we didn't have one problem, flogging them all the time, right? And I'm like, wow, these things really are set up for real endurance. These guys are serious.
3 Corvette rumors that I've heard, and maybe you can guide me towards fact or fiction. I keep hearing that Corvette's considering introducing a real manual transmission, which would be another.
I think that's fiction.
Probably brilliant move, but probably fiction.
It would be. I think that's down the road. Maybe that comes in
the new C9. Yeah. Second one I heard was when they were designing the C8, the new car, current car, that at one point the discussion was, let's keep the front engine car, the C7 in production, and the C8 at the same time, and make it a transition period where the customers can order a front engine, stay with the C7, or go to the mid-engine C8. You can have your choice. And they decided, no, we're not going to do that. But it was interesting that they looked at it that way. And the third item was, someone said, why don't we give the C7 to Cadillac? Because it's a wonderful chassis. And let them turn it into the newest XLR. Well,
I don't think you're wrong on any of those thoughts. I think those discussions probably went way further down in the meeting rooms than people thought. But, the numbers are staggering for Corvette. Like, for instance, what percentage of sports cars do you think Corvette delivers to the United States every year? And I mean sports cars. I mean from a Miata to a BMW M4 or M3 to a Lamborghini to a Porsche to a Ferrari. Out of every sports car delivered, Corvette delivers 40% of every sports car delivered to the United States. So we think about that. That's 800 Corvettes a week they're building. Okay, it's 40,000 Corvettes a year they deliver. Because I said, how do you deliver on such an insane package like a ZR1X for $250,000? And they went down the metrics with me, and I'm like, oh my God, those are crazy metrics, and that's how they get there. So I think overlapping production lines would be very tough for them.
When Tom Murphy and I ran GT1 cars, matching GT1 Corvettes, well, one was a Camaro actually, but it was near a Corvette to be a brother car. We had red, white, and blue cars, and right on the top of the hood over the engine, it just said "Heartbeat of America." That's true.
What great days!
Yeah.
I mean, what pioneering, racing back then. No balance of power, no air conditioning, manual gearboxes, manual brakes. I mean, that was. I don't think people really realize, because I caught the tail end of that, about how physical those cars were.
Yeah, right? I caught the beginning of it and had a lot of interesting time with John and Peg Bishop. We'll talk about that a little bit at some time, and how thin his rule book was. It was wonderful.
That was the beauty of it.
Oh, yeah,
that
it was great
the beauty
stuff.
of racing back. I mean, if you weren't cheating, you weren't racing, they said, in NASCAR, remember?
Yeah. We're starting to run tight on this segment time-wise, too, which means we got to have you back again.
I would love to come back.
But not today. Right.
Being able to speak with you at any time is a gift.
No, we love having you on. It's so fun.
Where you've been.
I'll tell you what, I don't know how we topped Tony Kester and Cort Wagner. I mean, we've served the best first, haven't we?
Well, everybody apparently would rather hear from them than us anyway.
Right.
So it works out for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, people always, love the hate switch first, right?
Yeah. Well,
God, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity. It's a blessing to be here.
Great fun. Great fun. We look forward to more.
Thanks a million, Cort.
Yeah.
We will be in touch, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah.
Great. Happy summer. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
And to you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
He's a great driver, too.
Great driver, great guest.
Oh, yeah.
Great stories.
Yeah, you're just scratching the surface with these two guys.
You're listening to the RPM Club.
We now return to the RPM Club with your hosts, Rick and Rob Mancuso.
Welcome back to the RPM Club, 312-772-6834 or rpmclub.com. Rick, earlier you and I were talking about how long we'd been in the business. And
how old you are.
Well, not as old as you, sir. So that's the end of that. But
you win.
We talk about the fact that between the two of us, there's maybe a century worth of experience. But as we look deeper than that, and you and I both look back at the franchises we've represented, I've represented 8 different makes, and I know you've represented more than that, maybe twice as many. And like people, every brand has a personality to it. And I think, you could spend an hour on each one and just talk about the nuances of the product, the popularity, the engineering, the people, the distribution, the pricing, the marketing. There's so much that goes into all of those. And it's kind of hard to say, but when you look back, is there a favorite? I know it's kind of like saying what's a favorite food. It depends if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It changes. I understand that. But I guess, and we probably don't want to say the ones that were our least favorite. Unless we do.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. But what comes to mind when you look back at all the franchises?
The first thing that comes to mind, having just spent 43 years with Ferrari.
Sure.
There is nothing like that in the entire automotive world. And I could go on for an hour. And even when it's doomsdays with Ferrari for part shortages or technical challenges or luxury taxes or wars going on or terrible supply, it's a wonderful franchise. It's Ferrari. It's on its worst day, it's a good day. And on its best day, it's an unbelievable day.
And we've joked over the years, and you know as well, that I would say, well, you're really not in the car business.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing about a franchise like Ferrari.
Well, even now, it was in the enthusiasm, sports car, passion, fashion, racing business. It was everything. It's just an amazing company. And I could go on for an hour.
Right.
You know, Aston Martin is right there as well.
Still one of the best ever.
Oh, it's
the brand.
Gorgeous. And
we drove here in one today.
We did today at a 2015 Aston Martin Rapide S. 12-cylinder. What a fabulous sedan.
And looks like it was designed yesterday.
Oh, it's just
so current.
And so elegant looking. So we love cars, and I think that's part of it.
Right.
I would always put passion first and say to someone, follow what you love. Someone calls and asks me about what car should I buy. I'm analyzing this one or that one. I had the conversation recently and more than I care to. And I said, buy the car you like that you want to drive. And if you don't like it and don't want to drive it, don't buy it.
If you do too much math, it's analysis paralysis.
Yeah. So those hit the top of it. We could go through other brands as well and go on forever. We don't have the kind of time. How about you? What do you think?
Well, we both got our start with Chevrolet.
Yes.
Right. So I had a Chevrolet dealership separate from the family store for a while too. So I'm very beholden to Chevrolet. But my earliest days really were with Cadillac, and that was a time in the '80s when Cadillac was the car.
Mark of excellence.
It was the standard
of the world.
And it was right, exactly. So I still go back to those days. I remember when they built the last Eldorado convertible in 1976. We were buying them from all around the country, and we'd bring them to Chicago, and we could resell them for more than we bought them from other dealers for, because the market here was so strong for those cars.
Did that have the fender skirts on it, or was it earlier, 72 or 3?
That was earlier.
Okay, that was very interesting as well. Yeah.
They were really something. They were as big as a whale, with 500 horsepower. I'm sorry, 500 cubic inches. And it was a great time watching that brand do what it did. And if somebody had ever said to me, that will become a truck franchise, of course, I couldn't have believed it then. But that's essentially what it is now. And now in Formula One racing, it's maturing well. Cadillac is maturing well. I think a lot of them.
Very well. You know, you're right, though, to go right to Chevrolet, because that's where it all started for me. With the Corvette, 1953. I remember it. And I remember one time one of the presidents of Ferrari was asking me, do you consider yourself like a Italian or an American or an Italian-American? How do you answer those questions? And I said, my blood is red. Oh, that's great. You know, to the Ferrari color. I said, white and blue. So it's all the above.
It's all the above.
Yeah, I'm so proud of the Italian heritage of the wonderful Ferrari.
Oh, there's nothing like it.
And all the history with the wonderful Chevrolet and General Motors Corvette traditions.
You know, it brings to mind the fact, and you and I have discussed this, maybe we'll dedicate a show to it, some of the icons of the business that we've had the pleasure of working with.
Well, that's a great idea.
I mean, think of the people. You could run through a million names, and each one, many of them's not alive anymore, but we could talk about them. I mean, the John DeLoreans of the world, Roger Smiths of the world, the Di Tommasos of the world. And on the Italian side,
Bill Ford.
I mean, you've got the stories to tell as I do.
Real characters: Zach Brown, Lawrence Stroll,
right?
Zemolo.
Sure. I mean, that's the foundation of this. We've also talked about.
What an honor!
I think you brought it up at one point that there should be an automotive hall of fame for Chicago.
Yes.
If you look at the Chicago marketplace, and to our Detroit listeners, no doubt the same for Detroit.
Yes.
It's just you have so many, you would need 2 or 3 halls of fame. But as you can tell, just hearing us talk, we're very passionate about the business. At a very early age, we were introduced to it. We elected to get involved in it. We were not pushed into it. As a matter of fact, our father said it's going to be easier for me if you guys aren't in the business. I can run my show.
You got that right.
And you can, and it would have been, right?
Yeah.
It would have been. But for one reason or another, we worked with him for a while and then went off. And in my case, he helped me do something on my own. And you did yours on your own, by yourself. But here we are. And now we've got a century worth of stories to talk about, which means we better come back after the break.
Yes.
You're listening to the RPM Club.
If you're passionate about all things automotive, you're in the right place. This is the RPM Club. Here's Rick and Rob Mancuso.
Welcome back. Rob Mancuso, talking with my brother Rick Mancuso. Rick, we talk about service, customer service in a lot of different industries, and car dealers have become an easy target.
Too easy. And there has been quite a transformation over the last 40 or 50 years. Yes.
That's a long period of time. So we'll give credit due to those that kind of demeaned it a long time ago. They've come a long way.
Service aisle used to be like cage fighting.
It was tough duty.
It was tough duty
in those days.
Yeah.
The quality of the cars was so bad.
Yeah.
It's like today when people say, they name a brand to me and they say, is this a good car or a bad car? I say, there are no bad cars.
Yeah.
There really are no bad cars.
Well, that's like you were saying earlier, no matter what you're driving or what we're talking about, every single car you can test drive or check out today in late model cars are so good. The price range doesn't matter. The brand doesn't matter. The basic cars are fabulous cars today, and they're fun to drive, and they're your sports car when you're driving it. Like Tony was saying, drive it well.
And you look at the performance of the average car today.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, what was my 1984 Mondial 0 to 60 time roughly?
Probably 6 or 7 seconds.
There's crossovers that can beat that right now.
Yeah, with a load of kids and baby seats on board.
Right. So the performance window is gotten wide on these things, and I don't think there's any bad cars, but there has been some bad service, and all the studies have shown that I think it's close to 80% of people think their service experience is either very good or excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And those numbers were inverted for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not defending whenever a dealer does something that you may consider inappropriate, but I'm saying, we don't need to pile on. I've had some experiences, as you have. You run down the list of providers, whether it's a shipping company, a department store,
right,
phone company. There's plenty to talk about when it gets to customer service. Makes the dealers look good.
They've come a long way. And what I've found over the years, in 99% of the cases, when someone was complaining about service, they were right. Because people don't wake up in the morning and say, I haven't got that much to do today. I think I'm going to make up something wrong about my car and spend some time on the phone arguing with people.
Go get in a fight.
Maybe I can get a good argument with them or something like that. Nobody does that.
No.
If they get irritated or you waste their time or you miss something, it's a legitimate problem.
Well, we've both discovered, and it runs beyond just customer service, if there's good communications.
Yes.
Lexus did a study, it was J.D. Power, showing that if a customer had a problem in the first 90 days that was resolved well, their brand loyalty was better than if they'd never had a problem. So you might say maybe they should engineer a problem about 90 days in, get it fixed. But it's communications. That's most of it. Too often today, we're not good on communicating.
And look outside the car business. Look what you and I have talked about, what I've experienced from 4 or 5 different non-related businesses, from rude people answering the phone, to not returning calls the second or third time around, to not doing what they said they were going to do at a certain time. It's infuriating.
And to dealers' defense, you can usually get to someone in the dealership if there's an issue and get
Absolutely
it resolved.
right.
We had a table delivered the other day to our house.
This is funny.
And
I love this story.
As they're walking it upstairs to the dining room, I looked at the guy and I said, does it occur to you there's no legs on this table? And he goes, well, they just gave us the top. And I said, well, I'll sit down on the floor. We'll order some Japanese food, and we'll sit on the floor and have dinner. Thanks for all your work.
Should have had him stay for dinner with you.
As long as he likes to sit.
Yeah, sit on the floor.
Anyway, This is the RPM Club, where we talk about anything related to the car business. We have a love for the cars. We have a love for the drivers. We're going to bring more guests. Every week we're going to bring somebody we think has something interesting for you to listen to, something you can maybe even apply that week as you drive home.
And remember,
we're always confident and often wrong.
Perfect.
You're listening to the RPM Club.